So I'm not sure if anyone who's listening right now was listening to the Darren Hardy call last night, but if you were, and I missed the webinar, the Set Your Soul on Fire webinar, but if you were listening to Darren Hardy's call, it just totally reinvigorated me, and I just feel like I have a lot to share and want to see if we can come up with new ideas on how to add value to people. Not really within our challenge group and not necessarily just within like our free groups or within our team, but like outside of that, and with just like really connect with other people on social media in new ways. So yeah. Hi Alicia, I don't think I know you. My name's Alexis.
I'm driving right now, so I'm multitasking.
No, that's totally fine. But yeah, so what are some ways, I'm recording this, so I just wanted to get like feedback from everyone. Hopefully, I'm sure there will be more people that jump on. But so let me just give you some examples on, and I'm not very good at this, which is why I'm decided to do like a call about it, is one thing that I do to add value, and this is really random, but is when I often see people on Facebook posting say that they're like looking for a job, or when I'm talking to people, they're saying like they're, out of employment at the moment. So one thing I've done is I just send people my resume. So, because I have a really kick-ass resume, and just tell people to copy that. So that's like an example of something that I've done to add value, and I found it to be really helpful. And a lot of those times people will reach out to me, and because it's like obviously I'm not going to get anything out of that, but it's still something that is like building a relationship. So it's so nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. So I'm going to read just a couple quotes and one of the things that I got out of when I went to UPW, and I'm sure everyone has heard this before, but one thing that really stuck with me is that like when someone asks you what business is, let me read this quote from Tony Robbins. The only product people buy or sell is results. Meeting our customers' needs and desires is the only way to keep your company's doors open. So if you can't consistently add value, you probably won't be in business much longer. And for us, that could mean that could look a lot of different ways. We could be stagnant in our business. We could not rank advance. We could just be kind of spinning our wheels if we don't find a way to add value to more people, not just our challengers. And I'm sure we could all do better at that, and maybe we can talk about that too, but just with other people and just building relationships and making new connections outside of our bubble or whatever. So a couple of quotes on adding value that maybe will kind of help us get started on the discussion is, the more we put helping others first and focus on adding value to other people's lives, the more abundance flows our way. It's a win-win all around. So I really like that, and I don't know like what everyone else's thoughts are, and I guess it's different depending like what your goals are for the end of the year, and they could be, I think, giving to others and adding value to people like in your workplace, whether it's on social media, like without the intention of getting anything in return, can really change your life. And it's something that I've never really done before until becoming a coach. But do any of you have any ideas on like during this time of the year that you can add value to people?
I don't know, is my volume on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to try to, I haven't been making my own food lately. So maybe bringing my lunch to work more will, motivate the people I work with. Start eating a little better.
No, that's
awesome. They don't.
Yeah, so just being an example and being diligent in your intake, so maybe practicing self-care, maybe that's, and I have these cool markers and I haven't ever used them before, so I'm gonna write all of this down. So maybe practicing self-care could be a way to add values to other people, which I think is really rad in itself, and that's not something I'd really think about. So practicing self-care.
I feel like that's the only thing that I do as far as adding value for free for other people is that if that's like my only, sorry, I have GPS on, girls. it's like it's like the only way that I can give somebody something that they don't already have is by either demonstrating what I'm doing or being an example. At first I wasn't taking any of the containers to work, but then I was like, you know what? I want people to ask me what I'm eating and or what is that? What is that? So then I started taking the containers to work, and I noticed I started getting a lot more like, ooh, what is that? What are you eating? But I don't know what else. And now I quit my job, so now I'm staying home. And I'm like, I don't really know what else to do now. So now that I don't have that environment, that's, other than posting my own meals and my own food and, just basically my own journey, I don't know, I'm kind of struggling with this exact topic because I have a fitness page, I have an Instagram, a Facebook, and then I also have a like page on Facebook, and I also have a free clean cross post. That.
Did you say a free clean eating group?
I have a free clean eating group that I run, and a lot of times, I try to post pictures of my containers and what I'm eating, or things on organic food, or I try to get a lot of interaction in that group, more or less, just so that I can try to build relationships with the people that are in there, and so I tend to ask a lot more questions in that group, in particularly.
Yeah, that's really good. So thank you for sharing that. And welcome to everyone who's just getting on. If you have a lot of background noise, go ahead and mute yourself. And then if you want to, talk, just unmute yourself. But if you don't have a lot of noise, whatever. Excuse me. So I think that's a really great a really great place to go is like this idea when you were talking that I had of like building your value bank, how can we add things to our adding value bank, like things we can pull from and give to people. And I think what I heard from that, aside from like the containers and what Nikki was suggesting, by demonstrating and practicing your own self-care, is by asking questions. And me personally, and maybe this is something I could work on, I'm not really that great at running free groups, and I don't know what it is, but I don't really like free clean eating groups, and maybe I'm bored of them because I've been doing them for 2 years, but I don't feel like people are as interested, and I'm sure people feel this way about challenge groups, that maybe people aren't as engaged, but so asking questions, whether that's on an individual level or like in your groups that you're running, whether they're paid or free, is a great way to figure out how to add value, like figuring out what your customers want, and then it makes it super clear for what you can do. So if you're just joining us, does anyone what are some ways that you add value, or what are some ways you feel like you could add more value to, and you just want to kind of generate some ideas around that?
I'm in college right now, so instead of doing my workouts at home a lot of the times, I'll just go to my school's gym just for, the fun of it. And then I try to do my workouts in one of the group rooms, and then I invite other girls to come work out with me and just join in on the program. They don't have to do anything with it, nothing like that, but they really like it because then I notice half the time most people are on their phones. They don't know what to do. I know I was like that before I found Beachbody. I never knew how to work out, and it was just really awkward. I just kind of sat there. So that's one way. And then at my work, I've been bringing in shakeology bites and like little shakeology treats to kind of teach them about superfoods, but in a way that's not like you have to buy it. I'm going to let you try it first and then kind of talk about it from there and the benefits of it. Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay. Sorry, who just shared that?
I did, Brooke.
Brooke. Oh, cool. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's a huge benefit if you work or go to school is you have so much opportunity because you can constantly expose people to things without having to like bring up the conversation or talk about it specifically. So that's great. And I think, and with me, like what I love going to the gym and I love taking my laptop to do workouts, especially if I need to use heavy weights or whatever. I just have never invited anyone to do it with me. And so like the worst thing someone could say is no, but I think me being like the fitness junkie I am, if someone invited me to do something, and it looks kind of hard, then I'd probably say yes. So that's a really great idea. What are some ways you could add value to, because I think that like when you're forming someone and what are some ways when you're like just in the middle of a conversation that you could maybe add value, or does that make sense? Do you feel like you're adding value when you're forming someone? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, I had one of my friends from school. He was trying to lose weight, and I was in Seattle living with my boyfriend. I live in Florida right now, but he reached out to me and I told him about Body Beast and he was super interested, but he wasn't working over summer, just taking a bunch of classes. So I gave him my meal plan that I use for all my challengers and customized it for him in his type of calorie bracket. We worked through it all. We did like a little Zoom call together to talk about it all. And now he wants to join as a coach because using my meal plan and then working out at the gym on his own, he lost 45 pounds.
Wow.
And now he's ready to, start bulking up and getting more muscle mass and stuff like that. So he's super excited to start Body Beast. So that's a really cool way. I mean, they're not going to join right now, but kind of like what Amy says, 50 no's can turn into, whatever, $800 later on, and coaches later on.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything else to share about that? Have you ever helped someone for free and it turned out good?
Well, can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm in my car, I was having the hardest time. I just gave one of my friends at work just 3 packets of Shakeology because she almost went to the hospital. She was so dehydrated, she doesn't have enough nutrients in her body that they called the ambulance. They were ready to take her to the hospital, but she said no, and if she says no, they can't take her, right? And I was really worried about her. I was like, I know this might not, make a difference right away, but try it out. It's very good. It's like, I told her about superfoods. I told her what Shakeology has done for me and everything. And she was very thankful that someone cared for her and was looking out for her. And they were only 3 packets. For me, that's not a lot. I really value her as a friend, and I'm more worried about her health. I know a lot of people don't do free, but I just wanted her to try it out and see if, this could be something that could help her. I told her, this is great for helping you with your nutrition and filling in those gaps where you're not getting enough nutrients from the food that you eat. And I have yet to hear from her, but I'm very good friends with her.
Good. Yeah, no, that's so awesome. And I think as a new coach in the beginning, I was I didn't believe in free either. And it was the worst mistake that I made because, sorry, I keep having to cough, but people like free builds trust and, value builds long-term customers. It does. And so, and you can't get someone to trust you without giving something away to them first. And so I really love that. One thing too that I pulled from it is I know a lot of people struggle with sharing their stories on their social media or getting personal. And I don't even struggle with that, but a way to reframe like the whole idea of sharing your story is that sharing your story adds value. and and sharing value and things for free like makes us feel good and helps other people. So I think that's really cool that you shared your story about what Shakeology has done for you. And I just feel like so far, like all these things we were talking about, we could find a really great way to every single day weave this into our daily lives, or weave some of this into our post, and not it feel so forced, like like, hey, like I'm even guilty of it where I'm like, okay, I need to throw up like a invite to the challenge group post, and it's just like I could so be pouring something more into that and making it more hearty, and like reaching out to that person who let me use their before and after, and like really like hearing their story and like putting that into words. So
yeah, I think you shared someone's story yesterday. I didn't catch the name, but she was saying how she even went to say how she was sexually abused, and I was like, wow, that is far, that is deep. Like, okay, like I need to step up my game, because if someone is willing to go that deep and be so open, and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever read a story about someone that's been sexually abused. Like, okay, like I have been, like I've never ever told anyone, but I was like, wow, okay. It just made me think, I had that was the first person that I had connected with on that kind of level, kind of deep.
yeah, no, I think that's so great, is sharing our story. When we do that, we don't know who's listening, but it gives other people, we may never hear from these people, but it gives other people permission to be vulnerable or to be more open, in their lives, and maybe begin their own journey of healing, whether it's physical or whatever it is. So that's what I think is so great about sharing, is like what we're doing is we're trying to light other people on fire, and that's what sharing does. And so that's a great example too. So does anyone have any other things on like adding value, or any examples that you do or want to do?
Lauren Michaels, my coach, and she shared the Shelly Hobbs, like one of the elite calls. I don't know if you've seen it, Alexis, but she mentioned like making posts, like, so writing down like 10 to 15 things that you love about coaching, and then making posts now. So that way you have them already saved in your Evernote, and you can just once a day have your story-based posts. Because I know for me, like I'm in school, work, coaching, like everything else, so it gets kind of hard to always be having like really great content. So it helps if you, and I've been doing that a lot more, kind of making pre-made posts as far as like stories. Obviously you can't do it with everything, but
yeah, no,
so that's been helping me.
That's good. I have seen that video, and I have behind me like a whiteboard, a calendar of what she talked about as far as the like what the theme should be, and creating a marketing swipe file, which is I guess what they call it, so you can pull from. And I don't know when you like tune in, but I was just talking about how like sometimes I don't, like, my posts and stories aren't as hearty as they could be. So I think when we're finished all, sharing, that could be like an action point that we all take away from this. And maybe we can have like a marketing swipe file with all of us. And that way we can just pull from, other stories from coaches on the team or whatnot, and, draft them in a way that sounds like us. But I think that's a really good idea, because I know that it's helpful. So you don't have to always do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Let's see. Does anyone else have anything they want to share, that anyone who hasn't shared yet? Or even if you have shared.
We kind of talked about this a little bit as well, and one of the other coaches said that.
Did she get frozen?
She's having really good luck with giveaways. I don't know if it's I've never done it because. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of like cutting out, but you said they have good luck with giveaways? Okay, you're back.
Doing giveaways like a brand. She said that a lot of it has nothing to do with, like a coffee mug or something. And she said that she's growing her Instagram by a whole bunch. She's seeing a huge increase by doing that, just giving away free stuff. But she also mentioned something, and this is kind of goes along with building your brand and building who you are. But she also said to find things that are about your brand to offer tips about. So, for example, like, within our group, we have a lot of moms, and we're also super frugal, cheap. And so a lot of the things that she said that is working for her, she's getting a lot of interaction on those kinds of helpful tips of like mom tips or frugal tips. Or I'm a really big couponer, and I've been noticing that just posting, about couponing and how, the extreme couponing that I'm doing is saving me so much money, and it's the reason that I can buy organic is a huge thing. Like I had a huge post on that. So just offering tips and tricks and ideas surrounding your brand was something that she was talking about, that she's been having really good success with. So
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I don't really do giveaways because I'm really bad about using the post office. I don't know why, it's just hard for me to get there. But I think, like giving away things that aren't Beachbody related is really awesome. Does anyone have a hard time identifying what their brand is? Like, who feels like they have a really strong brand or are really good at branding themselves?
I feel like I have a strong brand.
Yeah, no, and when you were speaking about it, you did, and you identified it. So I think anyone who struggles with their brand, and I would consider myself struggling with it, and sometimes it's hard to identify it when you're like looking at yourself, and sometimes it might be easier for someone else to tell you what your brand is. But so does anyone want to take a second and kind of like share what some of their passions are, and like 2 or 3 of their passions, just to kind of help get your ideas flowing about your brand?
I can talk about an activity that I did that helped me develop my brand, which I thought was really great. It was from, I think it might have been Melanie Mitro on her website. There was something that I read in regards to how to develop your brand, and it kind of like helped me narrow down the things that I share publicly. And what it was you basically write down like 15 things. You make a list of 15 things that you're about, like that you want people to know about, that are just you. And whether that means like, and one of the things that I thought was hard was, most people say write down the top five things that you're about, but the 15 things that you're about makes you dig a little bit deeper, because 15 things is a lot of like hobby stuff to think about, and a lot, like, I know I don't have 15.
Okay. That's good. So maybe we can do another like group call about branding and finding your brand.
I know mine is a lot of music and photography, but I see so many people, like, I've had like a lot of people not like mock me, but indirectly be. Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry. I just hear like 2 people talking. Okay. So I've had people tell me like, oh, you think your iPhone makes you a photographer? And I'm like, it doesn't matter what you use. If you can capture the moment, doesn't that make you like an artist? So I haven't really dove into that, even though that's like my passion. I know I posted like a video, a time lapse right now, because I just got some really cool gear and I'm kind of techie and nerdy about that. but mainly it's nature and music. And I'm actually not all about fitness. It's not that I hardly post about fitness, but I'm not like your typical Beachbody coach that's just fitness, food, pictures. I'm more about like other than that. And I don't know if that's hurting me, if that's why I'm not like getting as much people being like, oh, she's the person to go to for fitness, unless they start talking about eating, and then I'm like, oh, I used to do paleo, and then we start getting into that conversation of like nutrition and exercise and fitness.
Yeah. It sounds like maybe you can kind of like start blending the two and weaving them in. I think it's really important to have other things to post about aside from fitness, because it gives people something to connect to, and not everyone can connect to with like working out, you know, because some people aren't on their health journeys yet, so they can't gravitate to that if they're not there. But yeah, you know, like weaving things in and sharing, like, you know, being able to, you know, go out and appreciate, you know, and have an eye for, you know, different things that you're photographing or whatever, because you're in a positive, you know, place in your life because of your health journey. You know what I mean? You could go anywhere.
Yeah. And I know when I see you, I'm like, oh, I know Alexis is about fitness and her boyfriend, because I see a lot of like your boyfriend like supporting you.
Likes, okay? He gets he gets a lot of likes because he has a nice face, so that's why I keep talking. I keep sharing it.
He does. But the one thing that I always remember about you is your sobriety, because we've been kind of on this. We kind of started at the same time, like going sober. I think it was like 7 or 8 months ago.
Yep.
And I think I already told you, like, I look up to like you and Amy when I'm feeling like I want to slip, but you know, I know that there's other people out there, and it's hard for me to let other people know that I had an alcohol problem or that I used to smoke. People don't know that I used to smoke. But I want to be like brave enough to get to that point and share it.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So I think like just adding like being brave is a way to add value. You know, kind of tying it back to that. So did anyone else have anything? And I'll share all these notes with you. Were you going to say something, Brooke?
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I guess it is technically towards branding, but I know a lot of people say not to use Instagram, but I figured out how to use it correctly, and it's been working so well for me. I've probably had like over 30 people now moved over to my Facebook, like girls that are a part of my brand, and I switch it up because now on Instagram you can use the location and you can use tags, so you can kind of differentiate between them. So for me, I'll do like for football games, I'll do all the places that everyone goes to and have my Instagram up on there, so so it'll like their pictures for me in those locations. And then I only do 2 comments, like nice photo or I love this picture. Nothing like, because I used to do like beautiful, and then I'd comment on like, you know, a picture that's not beautiful, and it was really awkward. But then I switch it up and I do hashtags that are like 4,000 or less comments on there that relate to my brand. And it's been working out really well for me. It's like $10 for a month. And then I pause it when the US is asleep. So that way it's not like liking in other countries.
Huh, that's really smart.
Because I'm like too busy to use Instagram a lot of the time.
No, and I think I talked about on a webinar I did about Instagram, and then everyone was like, don't use Instagram, you know, and I was like, well, shit. But yeah, I love those, you know, specific tips. And do you pick where people are at during football games, because you know a lot of people will be there?
Yeah, so I change up the location like every week. So during the week, I'll do like my school's gym, our Starbucks, our library, like, because people always check in for some reason and like tag the library or whatever. And then it just really depends. Sometimes I switch it up and do hashtags. That way it's not always on it. And then they just added on the speed. So you can set it to slow. So it'll really like, this is good for the hashtags because it'll really like choose certain pictures to like and comment on. And it kind of goes slower. So you're building it more and more as you go versus if you did it really fast and not everyone's going to be on at that time.
Okay.
And then you can also change it like by hour, the day, and things like that.
Okay. No, that's good because I've used it before. I just didn't really have as much technique. So thank you.
Yeah, no, at first it was like really bad and I was attracting like the Middle East and.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had this issue where like, I don't know, like, someone's like spamming you or I don't know how it happens, but they like, you keep getting tagged and crap. And I'm like trying to unfollow or trying to block all these people. Yeah. So it's messy. I mean, I posted a video in the Diamond group today about, after coming back from UPW, like, I mean, I went to Unleash the Power Within because I wanted to learn how to make money and be more successful. And like the one thing that really stuck with me was adding value. And so that's kind of why I wanted to do this call. And I think part of that is what's really important is making sure that you're like putting yourself in the best position to add value, which means like not following coaches, like unfollowing, so your Facebook news feed should be full of prospects or people who would make good coaches. And then in Instagram, because I started in my Instagram before I was a coach, so I'm following like almost 3,000 people that are, and now a lot of them are coaches or like inspo accounts or brands or designers. And so every time I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed, I'm just unfollowing people. And that way I have a chance, to actually engage with people that are already adding value. So when I'm looking for prospects, I think great customers and great potential coaches are ones who are already on their fitness journey, because that's where I was when I was approached. And and I want to, it depends. Maybe you were in a different place. So maybe you might ask yourself, where were you when you signed up as a coach? And look for people who are in that same spot. And maybe it's somewhere else, But for me, I like being able to see people that are already adding value for free because I was doing that naturally before I knew about this. And that way I can remember how to do that because I've kind of gotten away from that. And then it's really easy to like add value back and forth between those people and to new people. So. Well, we have a couple minutes left. I think this is really great. So I have a bunch of things that I will share, just like some of the, things that we brainstormed together. But regardless of like, I don't know everyone on this call, but regardless of where you're at, if you're trying to hit Emerald, if you're trying to build your customer base or hit Diamond, which if you haven't ever heard this yet, like Diamond is just the beginning. Diamond is just like Emerald as far as I'm concerned. I haven't made that much more money as a Diamond coach than I did as an Emerald. I mean, a little bit, but not really. So really, I think sometimes we can be too focused on rank and how much money we're making and forget about the value part. And money comes from people. And so if you can figure out how to add value to a lot of people, then the rank advancements and the growing of your business and your income will just come as a result. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about as far as maybe hammer and chisel, the end of the year, adding value? How could you add value to the hammer and chisel launch? I know for me, thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how has that been working for you? Because I was going to start this upcoming week talking about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be really diligent about it, and I'm kind of focusing on like trying to get all of January booked. So like even though it comes out December 1st, like I want to also be talking about like January because I want people to be having like a plan for going into the new year. and kind of giving those people who are like in the midst of the holidays, like for me, the holidays always meant like drinking my way through, like eating my way through it. And I still want those people to like in the back of their head be like, okay, January, like that Alexis girl is doing that challenge group, you know? So I've been lifting, you know, I've been doing the 21-day fix extreme. And the sneak peeks are amazing. And so I've just been recording when I'm doing those workouts and posting it. And what I've noticed, the people who I have interested in it are people who want to like get more cut up. I think this is great to reach out to males if you don't do that usually. And also like women or just anyone who want to get into weightlifting but need somewhere to start and they've never done it. And this is a way to like, you know, be able to, especially with people who like are kind of like on the fence about home workouts, you can make it seem like a stepping stone at learning how to be comfortable in the gym. So, and then, you know, talking to people about like, you know, there's like, hey, you can try it for free. You know, there's a meal plan on Beachbody On Demand with the free trial. You could do a Zoom call, like one of you mentioned, and like share your screen and show them how to enroll in Beachbody On Demand and like navigate around everything. Yeah. So,
cool.
Have you guys tried Periscope?
No, but I keep hearing about it.
Because that's what I use, and that's how I get people. Like,
wow.
I interact with so many people. Like, depends on if you turn your locations on. I wouldn't recommend turning your locations on at your house because people can see where you live. But say you're at a gym or like going out and like you start like scoping, people that are around you and on Periscope will like see that you're live. And I did that when Size came out. I did that when I was going to Nashville, and I've made some, like I have followers now. Like it's only about 60, but that's 60 more than I had.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And like I just talk about, you know, today I think someone mentioned it was World Kindness Day, and I was like, go out there and do something kind for someone else, you know, because, you know, there's so much negativity, like spread love and spread, you know, kindness around, you know, there's just, you can make that difference for someone, especially like in the restaurant business. I know I used to work in that, and Amy used to do that. And she's always talking about how, you know, they are the people that take the most crap from other people. So, you know, it's the weekend, people are going out to eat and to bars, and I'm like, just, you know, smile and compliment someone, because like I was trying to add value to them by adding value to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Shalene Johnson, she's there every day, and if she's there every day, it's like, it's good. So I would recommend you guys using Scope. Not only that, the videos get saved onto your phone and you can upload them to YouTube or your Facebook.
That's a good idea. And maybe like when you're doing your workout or about to start, like that's kind of a cool idea. Yeah. Before this ends, let's all smile real quick because I'm going to take a screenshot. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2. Okay. Well, hopefully we can have a like follow-up discussion or something. I'll upload this on YouTube. If you don't want me to upload it for whatever reason, like private message me, so I'll wait and give you a second for whatever reason. And yeah, and then we can start on that marketing swipe and like pre-planning our stories. I think it's really important that we do that so we have our whole end of the year booked as far as what our posts are going to be. I think that would be really beneficial. So thanks for jumping on. I hope you guys have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.